Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and hit the bell button. Hello po, for today's vlog ay sasakay po tayo sa Mersey Ferry dito sa Liverpool. Tara na po! Napakaganda naman dito. May ferry doon. May nagwa-vlog din doon.
However, it is difficult politically to adjust for that kind of acceptance.
Sasakay kami ng ferry. Saan kaya ang punta naman ito? Ito. Sasakay kami na naman dito.
800 years, providing a link between Liverpool and the Wirral shorelines. Pier Head, our starting point, takes its name from the long stone pier which once jutted out into the river from the shore next to the Sailors' Church. The church's future as a trading city and a major port.
Liverpool's unique character has been influenced by a diverse mix of races: Welsh, Irish, West Indians, Africans and Chinese. And this has produced a population characterised by its vitality, resilience and extreme sense of humour. The city is also home to the oldest black and Chinese communities in Britain. Liverpool had prospered from trade with the British West Indies and the American colonies during the 18th century. A latecomer to the transatlantic slave trade, of cheap goods to Africa, slaves to the sugar plantations, and sugar, rum and tobacco home to England, Liverpool nevertheless came to dominate the slave trade until its abolition in 1807. Some slaves were sold in Liverpool, mainly for domestic service, and you can find out much more about Liverpool. In 1841, an estimated 49,000 Irish people lived in the city, and in the following years, during the Great Famine, over 1.5 million people crossed the Irish Sea, many of whom then left for the Americas, but many stayed, and their presence changed the character of the city forever. Up until the 19th century, Liverpudlians spoke in the same way as their Lancashire neighbours, but the impact of Irish migration to the city gave the city its unique accent. Today, an estimated 75% of Liverpool's population can trace their heritage to Ireland. You can find more information on this at the Museum of Liverpool. Between 1830 and 1930, over 9 million people left Liverpool by boat in search of a better life. Before steamships were introduced, these journeys were extremely hazardous. To sail to America would take 35 days, and the trip to Australia lasted from 10 to 17 weeks, depending on wind and weather. The ships were crowded, and conditions encouraged the spread of diseases such as cholera. By the late 1800s, over 200 ships a week would leave Liverpool and travel to all corners of the world. Liverpool then was the most important port outside London.
Victorian hexagonal Salisbury Dock Clock Tower, designed by Jesse Hartley, who was responsible for much of Liverpool's dockland architecture, including the Royal Albert Dock. The clock's chief use was to check the ship's chronometer as the vessel left port, and was affectionately known as the river. Although now the Pier Head extension is finished, the canal extends through to the Royal Albert Dock. We now see the massive red brick building, which is the Stanley Tobacco Warehouse. When built in 1900, it was the world's biggest bonded warehouse, large enough to fit St George's Hall inside. It was built using 27 million. Then we have the Bramley Moor Dock, which in the future will be the new home of Everton Football Club. The new stadium, at an estimated cost of £500 million, is due to open for the start of the 2024-25 Premier League season, replacing Goodison Park, the club's home since 1892. Bramley Moor Dock, opened in 1848, was also designed by Jesse Hartley and primarily used as a coal dock. The dock was in use for 140 years, but as coal-fired steamships fell out of use and the coal mines in South Lancashire closed, demand for coal disappeared, and the Bramley Moor Dock was eventually closed in 1988.
The large wind turbines that you can see provide the power to the Royal Seaforth Dock, which is the prime container terminal for North America. Approximately 70% of the northwest freight runs through Liverpool. Completed in 2016 and adjacent to the dock is Liverpool 2, a new deep-water container terminal capable of handling 2 post-Panamax vessels simultaneously and able to handle 95% of all vessels that sail the seas. This doubles the container handling capacity of Liverpool. If you look over to the mouth of the river on the Wirral shoreline, you might be able to spot perch rock.
During the 18th and early 19th century, smuggling was rife throughout Britain. This area, Wallasey, was perfect for smugglers, because 300 years ago it was cut off from the rest of the Wirral by the Wallasey pool line.
It obviously had an unusual quality, because between 1908 and 1957, 205 national, European and world records were broken here.
The tall, square tower, looking something like a giant stereo, is the Kingsway Road Tunnel Ventilation Tower. Its twin is on the Liverpool side of the river. As we approach Seacombe, look out for the large bell at the landing stage, used before radar as the only guide for the ferry in fog. In fact, radar was installed in 1947 and was the first in the world to guide ferries. Seacombe Ferry Terminal has undergone a major reconstruction, including the replacement of its Victorian link span bridges and refurbishment of the landing stage and terminal building. It will also be home to Eureka Science and Discovery, a new visitor attraction designed for children.
Please make your way to the life jacket assembly points following the assembly station direction signs displayed. The crew will be on hand to give instructions and advice. Please note that smoking, including the use of e-cigarettes, is not permitted on any part of the vessel, and for your own safety, we also ask you not to stand on the seats or sit on the ship's and the Royal Iris.
You can now see the roll-on, roll-off ferry terminal called 12 Quays, connecting the Wirral with Belfast. It is along this stretch of shoreline where the famous 1 o'clock gun still stands. A cannon was fired from here. You can see in the distance some of the elegant Victorian architecture built during Birkenhead's heyday. Birkenhead was the first town in Europe to operate a dedicated passenger tramway, and the first ever public park was built here, an idea of William Laird, the famous shipbuilder. It was paid for by the council and designed by Joseph Paxton, the famous designer of the Crystal Palace that featured in the Great Exhibition of 1851.
Called Monk's Ferry, and this is the spot where the monks would begin the mile-long journey across to Liverpool. On the other side of the slipway are the dry docks and slipways of Camel Laird, famous for building many great ships such as the Ark Royal, the Second Mauretania, and linking Rock Ferry to New Ferry, and the area developed into a day tripper resort. The American novelist and short story writer Nathaniel Hawthorne lived at Rock Park for 4 years during the 1850s whilst working as the American consul in Liverpool. An extract from his diary reads, "At Rock Ferry there was a great throng forming a scene not unlike the 4th of July. There were bands with music and banners, and a small procession after them, and a school of charity children enjoying the festival. And there was a club of respectable persons playing at bowls on the bowling green of the hotel. And there were children and infants riding on the donkeys at a penny a ride." The hotel to which Hawthorne refers was the Royal Rock, a popular destination for ferry passengers We took a trip to Rock Ferry to enjoy a drink, a game of bowls, or a walk on the esplanade. In the late 1930s, a layer of mud began to wash over the sandy beach, and in 1939, the ferry service was discontinued. The area gradually deteriorated, and the old pier was replaced by a jetty connected with Tranmere Oil Terminal, parts of which can still be seen. Eventually, the Royal Rock Hotel was demolished.
Further ahead, the large green area is Port Sunlight River Park, opened in 2014 and built on a former landfill site. Its many footpaths meander through wildflower meadows and trees, and there are stunning views over to Liverpool. Even further upriver are the eastern locks into the Manchester Ship Canal. Manchester, a city that was at the centre of the North's Industrial Revolution, was provided with a vital passage to the rest of the world when the canal was opened in 1894. It carried imports of raw cotton to the heart of the Lancashire cotton industry, some 35 miles away. By 1955, the canal was carrying over 18 million tonnes of goods every year. Amongst the many ships that use the canal now are the Mersey Ferries, operating day trips from Liverpool and Wirral to the historic Latchford Locks and back. The cruise gives passengers the opportunity to experience a round trip in the same day. Cruises operate on selected dates during the summer months. Please check the Mersey Ferry's website for details.
If you look over towards Liverpool, you get a fine view of Liverpool's two cathedrals and the Museum of Liverpool. The museum is the largest newly built national museum in the UK for over 100 years. The story of Liverpool is told through displays drawn from exhibits related to the city from National Museum Liverpool's entire collection. Looking to the waterside, this is the King's Dock area, buildings in Britain. In 2018, it was granted the prestigious title Royal Albert Dock, in recognition of the pivotal role that it played in starting a resurgence of interest in Liverpool's wonderful architecture. Threatened with demolition for years, it was restored in the is the Port of Liverpool building with its impressive copper dome. Opened in 1908, the design came from a rejected competition entry for the Anglican Cathedral. In the middle stands the Cunard building. Built in 1914, the age in the world. It was from here that over 9 million emigrants passed through Liverpool between
Finally, the beautiful Liver Building, erected by the Royal Liver Friendly Society in 1911, is perhaps Liverpool's best-known landmark. Based on a Chicago waterfront skyscraper, the building is topped by the famous Liver Bird.
Tapos na, babaan na. May pudding rings din sila dito. Yes. Of course you have to pay. Ang ganda ng building dito, oh. Ikat. Napakaganda po ng mga tanawin dito. Ang mga building nila, napakalulumag, mga historical. Ang gaganda talaga. I hope you like this video, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next time. Bye-bye.